Hi everyone. Today I want to show you what Iris can do. Iris is a free educational website I built for students and early career professionals who want help with career prep, personal finance, investing basics, and other tools. So let me start with the homepage. This site is organized into a few main areas. There is economic outlook, there is students, there is budgeting, there is credit and debt, there is career, there is investments. There's also a tab where you can learn investing, which is Investing 101. And there's a tab where you can find a tool, where users can find tools easier. So let's assume the student wants to learn how to invest. They can just type invest and everything related to investments will come up straight away. And they can just click on any single one of them and it'll take you to the page where they can use the tool that's available on the website. For career prep, one of the main tools is practice interview. Students can practice either case interview or behavior interview. They can also do an actual interview or a coaching mode. Here are some examples that I have done earlier before this. So this is a behavior interview and an actual interview. The left gray ones are the interview. The right one is the answers I put in, and it would just go back and forth as if you're chatting with a person. You can pause and take a look at how the bot responds and how they ask follow-up questions and try to corner students and move on when they're satisfied with a certain response. Here is another example of a case interview with coaching mode. Same as before, you can pause and take a look at the question the interview asks and the answers I've given. So, moving on, there's also another tab where because this is designed for students, some students don't know what they want to do with their major. If they want to study that certain major, so this is another tool that will help them. We can use a freshman resume as an example. Now I have filled them all up. I copy pasted the test student's resume here. She is undeclared because she is a freshman, but she intends to do finance. So I put in finance here. A few quick questions that they answered. I filled in a few things that the student would look like she would be interested in from her resume, and we can just build my report. It'll take about 30 to 60 seconds for the report to get generated, so we'll give it a bit. It does take a minute. So the report's done. You can copy it, you can download it as HTML or save it as a PDF. So we'll save it as a HTML file so it's easier. So here's the report that comes out, and basically it's sort of comparing what jobs she should be looking at with her finance degree, and down here it would also show the strengths and limits of the degree she's choosing, and it'll recommend her a path to either stay in finance or move to another major. And in this case, the AI bot in this case recommends her to stay in finance and add a business analytics concentration or minor, as this would fit her interests and her skills. They would also advise jobs that would fit well with her degree. Here, they also give her comparison whether she should stick with a finance only degree or have a finance plus business analytics degree concentration, which is what's advised. Here you can also see her skills gap, where what she should be developing, what she would do better, and how to improve it basically. Here she has a growth plan on what she can do over this month, over the next semester, or before recruiting. Here are a few other things that she can do. Here is her resume and LinkedIn advice on what she should write on her LinkedIn or her resume. And yeah, that's it. I will send uh, the file of the PDF and the report. It will be in the link below in the Google Drive, so you can take a look at the resume and the report and see if it makes sense. So moving on, here's another thing a student can do. It's called an elevator pitch builder. I hear lots of students having issues with elevator pitches, how to present myself in 60 seconds, how to set up my LinkedIn about, and this would help them. Let's take a different example. Let's take a junior now. This is a example of a resume I made as well. I'm gonna paste it right here. Let's assume he is targeting a FP&A role, and this is for recruiter, career fair. And we will set the tone as professional. Just press create my pitch. This will take some time as well. It wouldn't take as long as the previous report, as this is a much shorter report. It'll take about 30 60 seconds. Here you can see our examples. Here you can see are the proposed main elevator pitches, short intro for a career fair, and tell me about yourself, like for interview opener, and the LinkedIn about page. You can pause and take a look at all the results here. There is no way to save this, but they do have a quick copy button here where they can just copy and paste it to whatever they're pasting it on. Let's say they want to use their resume, their LinkedIn about page. They can just copy this and paste it somewhere. So that's the AI stuff done. So here there are also another few things here that would help the student. I hear lots of students who are considering graduate program at UIUC here, and sometimes they don't know if they should do it, whether it's worth it or not, whether it's worth it or not. This is a grad school ROI thing. It's pretty simple. They just say, let's assume my MSA program, where the tuition is about 50K for a year, and my salary, if I just go straight to work right now, would be 85K, and with a degree, with the master's degree, would be 95K. Let's just leave this as that. And here it's telling me that the true cost of the degree would be 135K because it takes into the $50,000 tuition and also the 85,000 salary I would have gotten if I went straight to work, and my break even would be in 16 year. So with this, the student can decide whether they should take the master's degree or should just go straight into the workforce. Another thing they can do here is, let's assume a student is lucky enough to get a few offers, and they want to compare which offer should I take. Well, they can go to this page and they can compare their offers. They can put in the base salary, they can put in their signing bonuses, annual bonuses, estimated equity grants, 401k matches, paid time off days, and they can just compare them and see which one's better. Another thing that they can also do is go to the cost of living page and they can compare their offers depending on their cost of living. Let's assume they are currently living in Chicago and they're targeting to move to Seattle. Let's say the salary is 80,000 and they are single, and it's gonna explain to you that, oh, an 80,000 salary in Chicago would be equivalent to an 83,000 salary in Seattle. So you need 3.9% more salary for the same lifetime, for the same lifestyle. There are a couple of big cities here that would be there. There's Portland, there is Vegas, there is Phoenix, Arizona, which is quite popular these days. Another tab which I think would be useful for students, I keep hearing a lot from students that I want to start investing, but I do not know where to start. Well, there's an Investing 101 page where they can learn about investing. There are basics of investing. What's the difference between saving and investing? What's a stock? What's an ETF? What's an index fund? As how do you understand what volatility is, what drawdown is, what diversification means, what's a bear market, what's a bull market, and a few other things here. Sometimes students are overwhelmed with investing and they're like, just tell me what to buy. Well, this is an education tool, and obviously not financial advice, but sometimes students want to sort of take a peek into their future. If they invest a certain amount, how much would they make? Well, in here we have something called the ETF recommender. We'll put in numbers as if we're a student, a 21-year-old, and my primary goal be retirement. Let's say they're working for 39 years until the age of 60. Let's say they are at zero at the moment and they're planning to contribute $500 a month. Here, there is something called risk tolerance where they're either very cautious or very aggressive. Let's leave it at 5. Here, there's a question that asks you if their portfolio dropped 20% in a month, what would they do? And let's assume buy more, great buying opportunity. Here, they would also ask whether they would prefer US stocks or they would also prefer international stocks. Let's assume they want to invest in US stocks. And let's assume they do not want bonds. Here it asks you for how many ETFs you want. Let's leave it at 5. Let's assume the student doesn't understand anything. ETF preference. There are some ETFs that are they're actively managed, passively managed, or they would want a mix. We'll just leave it as passively managed. Here is a slider where it asks the user whether they prefer an income ETF or a growth ETF more. We'll just leave it as that, and they can go all the way down and build my portfolio. Here, the user gets advised to buy a few ETFs, and they would also get explained what's inside the ETF so they know. So this is more of an education tool. It kind of teaches you what you could buy, what options are there out there, and it'll tell you more about the ETF. These are features that the student can use. So they can send it to backtest where they can backtest the ETFs they could choose. There was advice to them over the past 30 years. So here are the results. Here is a graph where it compares your ETF compared to the S&P 500, and the idea of this graph is, well, the having 5 ETFs in your portfolio and having one ETF like the S&P 500, it's much less complicated to invest in one ETF compared to 5. So this graph here is just to show them, well, you could do this strategy or just invest the S&P 500, and it's just showing them how much money you can make by investing a certain amount every month. They can also send this to a Monte Carlo simulation where it will automatically plug in the annual return of the linked portfolio and the annual volatility, and they can shove in any starting amount they want. Let's say 0, monthly 500. They're investing for 30 years. Let's do 2,000 simulations, and let's say they want $1 million when they retire. The average inflation of the US is about 3%, so that's the number that's defaulted in here, and you can run the Monte Carlo, and it will show you how much money you would have in 30 years, where the median, which is the most likely scenario, would be $1 million, and the best case scenario would be $2.6 million, and the worst case being 400,000. You can also send this to the overlap. What's an overlap, you might ask? Well, it's telling because we're buying ETFs, which is a collection of stocks. Here it's showing you that when you buy SCHG and VOO, 53% of stocks there in SCHD are in VOO as well. And it shows here that 82% of the stocks in VOO are also in VTI, so you're double dipping basically. And it shows you that inside this recommendation of this ETF, of this portfolio, 61% would be US large cap, 38% would be US growth. So that is most of the important things that Iris does. There are a few other tools that would take a lot longer to show. But this is just a quick rundown of the few important things that I think would be valuable for students to use. Thank you for watching.